I will die on that hill.
I absolutely love Miley Cyrus.
You have failed this.
Love this show.
The sickest night ever. Is this? What are we doing?
No. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Call Guys podcast. I'm Gunner, also known as Chico Noise, 3-time podcast host, wine enthusiast, and probably the only left-hand drummer in the entire world.
Like you play left-handed, or just that
do.
you're a left-handed
I
person that
do.
plays drums?
I play left-handed, and let me tell you, it is a struggle when you're playing a gig or a show, because especially if there's a shared kit. If you're bringing your own
Oh.
kit, it's okay. But if you're playing a shared kit, which most of the time with the Kill Goals, it was a shared kit, and I'd have to go up and be like, the sound guy and be like, "Hey, we got to switch these two mics. We got to do this. We got to do this because I'm left-handed." And he goes, "Oh, okay." I mean, it's not a big deal, but it's like just in the middle of the band setting up and stuff, it's like, "Hey, we got to swap some stuff around real quick." And then he's got to go back up and swap it back for the next drummer because he's a right-handed drummer. So it's always been a little bit of a struggle, but you bring your own kit, it's okay. But still.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And yeah, I don't know. I've never met, I know there are some lefties out there, but I've never met another lefty.
Oh,
So
interesting.
maybe that should be a goal. Meet a left-handed drummer. If you're a left-handed drummer, send us an email, thecallguyspodcast@gmail.com. Let me know. Let me know if you have the same struggles.
Love to have you on to talk about the struggle.
Yeah, the struggle of being left-handed in general. We just, left-handed people just get the bird all the time.
You do.
Yeah.
You lefties are, you know.
We suck. Lefties, we all
I don't know.
suck. I'm sorry. I love you though. Thank you for being left-handed. Speaking of drums, if you're watching the YouTube right now, Colton has something new in his background, which there's a little bit of a story behind this drum kit. This drum kit I bought my senior year of high school, and I've had it for that's been almost 10 years ago. So I've had this drum kit for a minute, and I get a Snapchat of Colton's son William at church. This has been over a few months ago, I think. And
I think so, yeah.
And they have him sitting at the church drum kit, which is an electric kit, and he's just beating on the cymbals and playing. And it made me think, like, I've had this kit for so long and I don't play it anymore. It just kind of sits there in a box. And I was like, I should give that to William. So we finally made it happen. Actually, the weekend that we went and saw Thor, which is what we're going to be talking about today, I brought it down to Colton's house and we set it up and got some pictures of William playing on it. And I'm excited to see if it's something that takes.
Like, me too. I'm really excited to see if it takes. I have had him down here a couple other times, just pounding away on it, and he has a lot of fun. I don't think he has any idea what he's doing, but he just loves the noise and he loves to hit stuff.
Hey, that
so
is.
If we could just channel that into rhythm and rhyme, we will be set.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching him sit there, and actually it's kind of crazy. He has like that nice like movement with his wrist when he's actually already playing. Like it's like he's gonna be a natural, and I really hope he is, because I'd love to just teach him the basics and just watch him go eventually, and maybe take off on it. You see a lot of young kid drummers that take off and get really popular. So.
I mean, that would obviously be the dream and the goal, but first and foremost, I'd like to just say thank you, buddy, for doing this.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. I'm not sure if the wife appreciates it yet, but and I know William appreciates it.
Yeah.
So
hey, when I sent her the snap and said his drum kit is ready whenever, she seemed excited. So I mean, hopefully in a couple of years it's.
I never got no. Don't have him bring that here.
Well, she seemed excited when I did bring it. She seemed pretty excited too.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'll see if I can find the video and we could post it.
Yeah.
But his face when he hits the drumstick, when he hits any of those pads, it just lights up, and it's a really, really cool thing to see.
Yeah. So if you are watching YouTube, go check it out. I think Colton's got a nice new addition to his background. So
yep.
Yeah. The other part of the intro, I put wine enthusiast, and it's partly because Sarah is a pretty avid wine drinker and has turned me into more of a wine drinker.
Saucy.
But if you go listen to last week's episode of Golden Image Podcast, we talk about Michiana Wine Fest, and that made me think of that for this intro today. And I was like, yeah, I like wine. What Michiana Wine Fest was fun, and that episode was really fun to listen back to because we did have Laura, Laura K. Balky sat in with us for the second episode we recorded that day, and she was just super fun to hang out with and talk to. And we got in the whole conversation about beer and wine and all that good stuff. So go check it out. It's a Golden Image Podcast. We talk about the Michiana Wine Fest and the Peru Trading Post.
Good episode. I listened to it this morning on the way to work and really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Obviously had a lot of critiques, but
that's all right. Hey,
that's for another time.
That's what it's all about.
Another time.
Alongside me, as always, my good friend, Colton Keel, or as I like to call him, 1 Keel 4-3. Colton,
what's up?
How was your week?
Man, it's a week, man. I'm actually getting ready to go on vacay.
I know you are. I was actually down. Next note was, are you ready for a vacation?
Yeah, just finishing up the final touches on the packing. Obviously, when this airs, I'll be down there going to go to Tennessee to see some family and hang out with the wife's side of the family. Their first vacation in a pretty long time, so it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Cabin?
Yeah, we're doing a cabin.
Nice
down there, and but yeah, it's gonna be fun. It'll be William's first vacation, real vacation, so to speak. So I'm more excited for him to go and see his distant cousins and see my family down there. So I'm excited to go do that. So
now, is this family that William has not met yet?
Correct. Yeah.
Nice. Well, that'd be cool.
So yeah, they're excited. I know they're excited to see him, and he is gonna be scared to death of him.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's gonna just have to get through.
That's okay. That's all right. But other than vacation coming up, you had a good week. Just a working week and going.
Yeah, man. Just a working week. The hotter it stays, the busier we stay. So
yeah.
What about you, brother?
I have been working late hours trying to finish some stuff up for Pennsylvania.
Jeez.
When this episode airs, I will be on my way to Pennsylvania actually, and we won't actually record an episode next week since you'll be on vacation. I'll be in PA. But we got that covered. So it's all good. Other than that, I'm actually preparing for vacation too. So I mean, first week of August I'll be at Disney. And yeah, I'm just excited to have a vacation. I feel like I haven't taken a real vacation in such a long time. So
probably since your honeymoon.
Yeah, that's true. I guess that really has been. That's the last vacation I took. So
yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm ready to see the Star Wars stuff. I think that is the one thing I'm most excited about. That and going to Universal for a day. And I'm just those two things. They're just
those will be two fun things.
Top tier. Especially with our love for movies. And I'll take my gimbal and get some good video while I'm there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'd love to watch it. That could just be an episode right there. Just going over your video. Yeah,
well, that's another Indiana Chiefs fans also as their first episode out, and by the time this airs, we'll be almost on to the second episode, and we have an episode on our bye week, on the Chiefs bye week, where we'll be doing the road to Kansas City, and I'm going to do a full-on video for that episode with stuff that we record up until that point. So that'll probably be what that podcast is, and just us talking to people, meeting people, tailgating, going to the game, stopping to eat at random restaurants. Like, I'm just super excited for an episode like that. And yeah, good stuff. Now that I've covered all three podcasts that I host on.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plugs. So yeah, good. That's it's always fun.
Good.
Yeah. So, you ready for the one thing that has stuck around through all 18 episodes of this podcast, except for maybe one? I think there was one episode that didn't have a question of the pod.
I think you're right.
Yes.
I think you're right. But yes, I am always ready for a question of the pod.
The question of the podcast. if you could pick one guest to come on the Call Guys, who would it be and why? You want to go first? You want me to go first?
I can go first.
Okay, let's hear it.
This person's on your wall.
Mark Wahlberg? I'm just kidding.
No.
Okay, let's hear it.
I would have loved. I think Heath Ledger would have been a lot of fun to do on this podcast.
He's kind of hidden, but
he is kind of hidden. Right, but if you know A Knight's Tale, you know Sir Ulrich von Liechtenstein.
Sir Ulrich von Liechtenstein.
Oh yeah. Yes. He would have been. That just would have been a fun episode to talk about and just talk with him about it. I'd love to get his insight on where he had to go for the Joker role.
I was just about to say that, the way he had to like live the role to really show through.
Yeah. So that would probably be, a lot of my questions would be focused around that. It probably wouldn't be super sensitive as long as, it didn't bother him, but yeah. Obviously who knows how it went towards the end there for him. But I think just to talk to him and get to know him a little bit more, I think he would also be a fun guy to, he'd probably mess around pretty well and be light and loose.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think he'd be a great guest.
That's a good one. Yeah. Unfortunately, he's not around, and he had a lot of good movies, a lot of controversial stuff that they did back in the day and all that. But I love Heath Ledger as an actor. I think he was just a really, really good actor and just fun to watch, especially in that Joker role and in A Knight's Tale. And 10 Things I Hate About You is probably actually one of my favorite movies he ever did. I love that movie. That's a good one. Mine, kind of along the same lines, but is still on this earth. Nathan Fillion. I know we've talked about him, in some of the episodes we've done in the past. He is Rick Castle. He did voice Cade Six in Destiny. He started The Rookie, which is another police procedural TV show. He's just done a lot of things, and I feel like it'd be really cool to just sit down with him and talk. And I feel like he could almost be an influencer, because I feel like he has that nice demeanor where he can talk and do whatever. I'm actually surprised he doesn't have a podcast. I wonder if he does. I've never really looked into it, but
I'm sure he does. Well, I don't know. Maybe not.
I'd love to see, ask him how he got into all of the things he does. You got to think he started with Firefly, and he probably had some stuff before that, but Firefly was huge. It's actually probably bigger now than it was when it actually released. And then you have Castle, and then you have The Rookie, and he was in all these video games. Halo, I think we got corrected on that when we talked about him. He was in Halo, and he was also in Destiny. So, how did he get into doing voice work for video games? How did he, what makes him want to do police procedurals and crime dramas? I don't know. I've always loved him as an actor. He's just such a cool dude. I feel like I could just sit down and talk to him all day. Now that I think of this question, it's almost kind of like the question that we had with Nick and Chris.
Kinda, yeah, it is a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, a good one. Yeah.
That was a good question. I like it.
Question. Easy one, apparently.
I know. This is probably the quickest we've ever gotten to a question of the pod.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that our main subject kind of drags out a little bit for this episode.
Oh, man.
I haven't been able to read you on this main subject yet. We went and saw it together.
We did.
We took Lucas and Sydney and Sarah and Bree.
We did.
Thor: Love and Thunder. Obviously, Colton and I, being huge Marvel fans, have to pretty much go see about anything that comes out Marvel. And we went and saw it opening weekend, which oddly enough, we've done for 2 movies in a row.
The last 2 in a row. I know we've been doing really good. We've been planning a lot on our end.
Yeah.
And I like to think I've done a decently good job with reminding my wife, hey, try not to plan anything for
Yeah.
these 3 days.
Yes, we
You know,
need.
if you got to take call, you take call. If you got to work, you got to work. I understand. But try to leave one of these 3 days open,
Yep.
and we'll try to find a sitter from there.
Well, fortunately, she didn't get called in, and she was able to go with us, and I was happy she was
Correct.
able to go.
Me too.
And I'm happy that Sydney and Lucas went too, and they are finally caught up with all of the Marvel stuff. And I know that Colton mentioned, oh gosh, this has been probably 10 episodes ago, that he had somebody he was trying to get into the Marvel stuff, and it was Sydney.
Yep.
And she did it. She watched them all. They watched all. I don't know if they watched all the shows. Did they watch all the shows? I think they had already watched the shows.
I think there's some shows they've watched, but not all.
Yeah.
But I think they're all caught up on everything, and I think they're good to go. So
yeah,
they were able to keep up. And I mean, I talked to Sid afterwards. She had some good input and good thoughts on it. I thought.
Yeah. So Colton, I have a feeling that you weren't a big fan.
I was what?
You were not a big fan.
What would give you that idea
of this movie? Because I really like this movie. Which I just want all of our listeners to know that back to the Stranger Things episode where they said that we just didn't have enough conflict in our talking.
Agreed too much.
We agreed too much because we both loved the show.
And it was
this is gonna be
notes, and
we're gonna be button heads on this.
Yeah,
one.
If I had to give this out of 10, okay, I would struggle to give it anything higher than a 4.5.
I'd go 7. 7.
Oh geez, that's no. This movie is nowhere. Okay, where do you rank it? Where do you rank it in the 4?
In the 4.
The 4th.
The 4 Thor movies.
The 4 Thor movies.
The 4 Thors. Where do I rank it in the 4 Thors? Ragnarok. Oh, you're killing me. I would say third. I would say third.
Exactly.
I can't rank it above the first Thor. Ragnarok,
exactly.
The first one. Love and Thunder.
You can't.
The Dark World. But I would give it close contender with the original.
See, I give it that it's barely above Dark World.
Okay. I'm trying to think. I'm really trying to think because there are reasons that I like this movie and there are reasons I dislike this movie. I enjoy dumb humor. I mean, really, if you think about some of these movies on my wall here, Bill and Ted is based in dumb humor. Beverly Hills Cop, dumb humor. The Clerks, which isn't up here, but it is in my top 10. It's dumb humor, and I just enjoyed that. Like it's nonsensical, just vomit pretty much, and with a story behind it.
Okay.
Yeah, but this just was not funny, dumb humor. And that was the one thing I had negative to say about this movie is that it felt like it was trying to be funny, but it didn't land. But the story I thought was amazing. I think the plot of the whole movie was awesome. I just thought that the humor just didn't land right. There were some points that did. A lot of the stuff with Korg, which was Taika Waititi, that was great. I love Korg in the film. And then the things with Valkyrie and the what was Korg's buddy's name? I can't think of it.
I can only think of the lizard dude right now.
Yeah.
Marcus? No.
Marcus?
Marcel?
No, I can't think of his name.
I can't think of his name either.
The one that doesn't talk. It looks like an
used to have scissors. Used to have swords on his hands.
Yeah,
now he's got a Sharpie.
Meek.
Yes.
Stop yelling. Feel the door.
Yes. Calm down.
So I do have before I let you go on your rant because I know you're gonna.
I'm not gonna rant. It's not okay. Just go.
Okay. So there's another reason I didn't like it. Besides the humor didn't land. I thought they'd just taken Thor to a just level of no return. And you watch Thor 1, he's a hard-headed guy that just wants to fight and do what he has to do to become the next king of Asgard.
King of Asgard.
And then you have the second one where he's more kind of family driven. Like he's everything with Jane, everything with his mom, everything with his dad. He's trying to be more family driven. And we all know that's not one of the best Marvel movies out there, but like it still, you get more development on Thor. And then you go into Ragnarok where he is trying to be the leader and he is doing it really well and he's becoming funnier, right? He just does all the nonsense stuff like we talked about before. And then you have Endgame where he's just broken. Like he is just broken, and Infinity War, both. He just is on a downhill slope. And then this, I feel like they just turned him into, and I've said this to multiple people, I'm going to read off my paper, a frat boy with a 2.0 GPA. It just,
oh my.
Like he's a bro, but he's dumb. Like it's like, I don't know. I think they just took it too far.
It's like they lost the lore of what made him Thor.
Yeah.
And they're just like, well, he doesn't need to be. He's not that guy anymore. So he's just what he is.
There was one point multiple points where he's talking to Stormbreaker like it's a human, and Stormbreaker is reacting. Like that's just, to me, that's just dumb. Like I understand like what they're trying to do, but.
So to me, that's where the dumb. I did like that. To me, that was the dumb humor I did like.
Okay.
I did like that there was a quote unquote love triangle between, Milnor and what did Lucas call it?
Jolnir. Like that dead straight face when he said it. Well, what about Jolnir? And I'm like, what did you just call it?
That's exactly what I said. I said, hold on. What did you just say?
Yeah. Sorry, Lucas. We love you.
Please listen.
It's Mjolnir.
So Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, it was the love triangle between those three, because Mjolnir was his first love, who went away, who was broken, and he had to go and forge Stormbreaker, and now Stormbreaker's caught feelings and doesn't want to share.
Yeah, I do love the fact that they had to jam Stormbreaker into the front of the boat to make a rainbow road. Stormbreaker has become the Bifrost.
Oh, we forgot to give spoilers.
Oh yeah, hey, if you're coming in to listen, this is a spoiler warning. I'm gonna get Chris to record that.
I was gonna say, just cut Chris's spoiler warning in there.
That's not a bad idea. I might do that just to do it. And now that we're talking about it, they're gonna be like, "That's kind of funny." All right.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So let's hear your overall thoughts first of all.
I think the reason why this movie misses with me is the fact that, and you brought this up with at the end of Doctor Strange, is that Marvel Phase 4 needs a knockout movie.
Yeah.
That says, this is where we're going, this is what we're doing, here's the avenue we're going down. I just take a direction right now.
Yeah.
I have no idea where we're going. None whatsoever. This movie, barring no reaction videos or anything like that, this movie gives us no direction on where it's going with just how it ends, other than the fact that Thor's just doing what he's always done.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So I think that's one of my biggest pet peeves about this movie, is that it wasn't the movie that I thought was going to be the movie to catapult it into the direction of Phase 4.
And I told you that's what I wanted. I told you, like, this needs to be that movie that's going to give Phase 4 the boost it needs to catapult us into 5, 6, 7, however far they're going to go before they do a big event again. And I wanted that from this. And you're right, it didn't land like it should have.
I think I'll come to appreciate this movie more at the end of the phase.
Yeah.
Because because right now I don't know where we're going, because we are on a roll of movies now of just setting up the next movie with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
That's all we know.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Then we are gonna spoil the crap out of this movie, just so you all know. So if you are listening,
So
fast forward to the plugs. We'll see you next week, and then we go see the movie. Come back.
Definitely go see
listen.
the movie and come back
Yes.
and listen. I actually, sidebar, I was talking to a buddy of mine who just now finished watching The Batman.
Okay.
And
wow.
we started talking about it, and he's got a lot of the same thoughts I had on it. And he's like, and I'm like, dude, you need to go back, listen to the first episode, and let me know what you think. Like, I want to know your thoughts and opinions. So he said he's going to listen to either today or tomorrow.
Nice.
Well, which I've recorded. So hopefully, if I've talked to him about it by this time, but yeah, I mean, the movie starts out with Thor. He just believes himself to be a mercenary now.
Yeah.
And he just pretty much just goes around with the Guardians and only fights when he's called upon.
Yeah.
And which is cool. It's funny. It starts the dialogue. It starts that classic kind of Wakiti humor that he had in Ragnarok.
What TD?
Wakiti. I was close.
Taika.
What?
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi.
Joel Neer.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, no, you're good.
So his style, it's there, but this movie wasn't. I felt like it kind of going off of you, but this movie shouldn't have been a funny movie. It shouldn't have been like, I just felt like Feige said, hey, Ragnarok worked really well. Why don't you use that same formula with the plot with where it is and go from there with Thor? And that's just not, I just felt like Thor was more broken. And it's hard to put a guy like Thor through that misery that he's going through and say, hey, be funny.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack, I think, with everything that happened at the end of especially at the end of Endgame. You gotta think he went off with the Guardians. What did they do that whole period of time other than be mercenaries and go and help people? And there's just that whole, like you said, beginning of the movie, that's all he's doing. He's sitting there. He plants Stormbreaker in the ground. And he sits and he waits until they come and say, hey, we need you. And he's like, all right, I'm about to go be a badass and rip off and show my 80s outfit and, like just go ham on anything and break down a monument and all that good stuff. But,
he broke some temples.
Yeah.
But they were talking about how he was lost, he was mourning, and the only way he would get back kind of like out of that funk is when he would start kind of being quote unquote himself again. So that's when he started to work out, lose the dad bod, and that's kind of where the movie picks up. And the Guardians, say, hey, we need your help, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I did love all of Korg's narration moments.
Yeah,
like every time he was narrating, I just thought that was hilarious because it popped in 3 or 4 times during the movie, like just
I can remember at least 2 times for sure.
Beginning
probably
and
a third.
I think there's one at least in the middle. But yeah,
yeah. So I love that Civ. Came back.
Yeah, me too. That was awesome.
I'm glad they gave her something to come back, and it looks like she's probably going to be quote unquote sticking around.
I hope so.
Would you think?
Well,
I hope so too.
With her Luke Skywalker arm or her Anakin.
Yeah,
arm.
she will definitely have an Anakin arm.
Or maybe Meek will lend her some swords.
Another thing, it took to the end of the movie for Thor to be the Thor from Thor 1.
Yeah.
Because you're right. They made him party boy Thor, and it just didn't hit with where he was in the universe of where of what had just happened, and
it was almost
how he knew he was losing Jane the whole time.
Yeah, it was almost a mixture, a combination of Ragnarok Thor and then What If Thor.
Yeah, I was gonna say this. I felt like they planned him off for the majority of the movie as the what if Thor.
Yeah, I could see that. I definitely could see that.
So I you know my thoughts on Miss Portman, so we don't
Well,
have to go too
I
far
no
into
no no no
that.
no 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 no.
Okay, okay.
We
What
need
do you
to
want
talk
to
about Natalie
What do you want to talk
because
about?
I think she, besides Christian Bale, was the best part of the movie. And I only say that because she was the only thing that really helped the story progress. Like there were moments where it's like what did we talk about with this a while back where you could have taken Thor out of the movie and you probably would have still had the story. Like you probably
Oh,
would have had the story. I mean, everything from she has cancer to going to New Asgard to becoming Mighty Thor, which had a weird time jump in there, which they didn't really explain. I don't know
no,
if
she
you
just
like,
showed up.
yeah.
She just went
Well,
because it was calling.
not even that part. She goes there, it's calling her. But then there's a time jump between when she becomes Mighty Thor and when Thor shows up at New Asgard that
Yeah.
they just don't explain. And it's like, okay, that was weird time jump. And then the whole thing with Mjolnir is helping her, but also not helping her. And then Thor tells her she pretty much needs to call it quits, but then she ends up helping defeat Gore in the end, which I don't really know that they defeated him as a villain. He kind of just gave up, really.
Gore?
Yeah.
No, he succumbed to the sword. The sword was he was poisoned.
Yeah.
And it's like that. It kind of reminds me of when you're all used up and all your energy's been taken.
Well, he had the same problem that Natalie Portman, that Jane was having with Mjolnir. She has cancer, and Mjolnir is helping her, but also hurting her, which is the same thing. So her and Gore were kind of paralleled a little bit, as the fact that their weapons were helping them, and all that. But you get that really cool backstory with Gore. You already know the backstory of Natalie. So I mean, there are really good moments with both of those characters, and I think with both of those characters, they made the movie good to me, along with Valkyrie and Korg and kind of the side characters. There really weren't too many big cameos though either, besides Civ. I mean, it was kind of bland on that point.
Yeah, I get. Well, I mean, if you go to the gods temple, I'm
That's
sure
true.
you'd probably have to go and find. You could have to, really take a magnifying glass and a fine comb, and you could probably find a bunch of stuff in there.
Yeah, and like you said, I haven't watched a single like review video or anything on this movie. I've just been too busy to think about it.
Yeah.
And I usually, the day after I see a movie, I'm watching, Easter egg videos and all this stuff to see what was in the background. Because when you watch it on your first watch, you're watching to enjoy. You're not watching to, look and say, what is this?
You're watching what the film wants you to watch.
Yeah, yeah. You're trying to enjoy it. And I think we've talked about that before, where we don't like to, like, we go in low expectations and we try not to critique it too much. And then the second viewings when you really start to dive into it. But at the same time, you and I can kind of pick up a little bit more as we watch it and have something to really dive into. So I'm sorry, I like Natalie.
I know you do. You're an apologist for it. That's okay. I appreciate that. I'm not saying this to be mean or or whatever, but I hope she stays dead. Okay.
Yeah.
I hope that she stays in Valhalla and she can't come back.
She got the hero's ending, which was nice for that character.
Yeah. And like I said, and I said this a little bit earlier, that I think I will come to appreciate this movie more when the phase is over.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm struggling with it because I don't understand her story at all.
Yeah.
Like Mjolnir could just now put himself back together, now that it's needed. Where was it needed all the other times since it got busted in Ragnarok?
Yeah, and why at this point in her in her treatment.
Exactly. Why
That's
is it
true.
now just saying, hey
Hey.
Natalie, hey Natalie?
Why didn't
Hey.
they just fly the ring to more?
Because it wasn't in the script.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of it.
No, I think she really helped the story be better. I think everything. I wanted more Guardians, but I'm kind of happy with what they did, because at the same point, I feel like it would have been too much for the movie, as a whole, if they would have had the Guardians there the whole time. So I'm glad they split ways. I like that. I like the relationship between Peter and Thor. I think that's just funny. The whole thing with him, like, you gotta look in the eyes of the people you love, and then Thor's like,
he's sliding in there.
Yeah, and all of them are just ready to kick Thor off the ship, and they're just like, let's go, and they just leave him with the goats. When did he get the goats?
That's when he got it was a gift.
Yeah, that was funny. That was funny, dumb humor. When every time something would happen, you'd hear the goats in the background. That was funny.
I agree.
That one.
I agree.
I think you and I both laughed every single time that happened.
Oh yeah, I think we did too. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
This movie just missed a lot more than it hit.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it could have hit in more places. Let's talk about Gore's story a little bit, because it kind of, I don't think it's the exact. Is it the first scene of the movie where he
so the very
in the desert?
The very beginning of the movie is when him and his daughter are pretty much dying of dehydration.
Yeah.
He prays to his God to save his daughter and bring water for her.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing we know, has made a nice little burial.
Yeah. Yep. She is
for his
dead.
daughter. And then he comes upon the oasis, and that's when he finds his quote unquote God. And then that's when the I want to call it the Necroman sword.
Oh yeah, I don't actually know the name of the sword, so if anybody out there knows the name, send it to thecallguyspodcast@gmail.com and let us know.
Bam.
I mean, I could look it up real quick, but I don't remember. I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, I call it the Necroman sword.
Okay.
And that's when he finds out, and he finds out that his God is pretty much a POS and just a dude who wants just people to worship and not do anything in return. And he pretty much just says, and then the sword, its sole purpose is to slay gods.
Right. You were right.
Oh,
it's
yeah?
The Necro sword.
The Necro sword.
All black. It's called all black.
So the Necro sword is pretty much put on that universe to destroy gods.
Yeah.
And it calls to him, and as he is being lifted up by the god to get pretty much smoked, the next thing you know, the sword is in his hands and he's poking his god, and he's like, well, I have found purpose in what I need to do with the rest of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot of stuff in the comics with that sword being a symbiote and being, the fact that Venom is now a part of the MCU. They didn't hit on that, and I was kind of surprised that they didn't do something with that. I don't know. I've never really read into it as much, so I wonder if there is like some sort of like formation of how that symbiote works as a sword.
I'm thinking Sony just doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, probably. Sony's like, no, have fun.
So I'm going to say this about Gore. He, to me, was one of my more favorite villains of this phase.
Oh yeah. For sure.
I thought Christian Bale did a fantastic job. The ending. Do we want to jump to that now, or we could get to there. We'll get there organically, I guess.
Yeah. So let's just we can go through what everything that Gore did along the way. Which really, there was a big chunk of the movie where he wasn't even in it. I mean, you would see like the devastation and stuff and all this stuff that was happening. Kind of a Thanos parallel with that, with like he's going through and killing gods, which is causing destruction and all this stuff. But you kind of lose him throughout part of the movie while Thor and Jane and Valkyrie are doing all the stuff that they're doing. And then you do get him back at towards the end when they have the big battle.
Yeah, he steals the children from New Asgard.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
To essentially draw out. So he goes to New Asgard to pretty much draw out Thor. And he gets his wish, and then he fights, and then something happens, and he ends up stealing the children because he knows Thor will come after him.
Yeah.
And he takes them to the Gray World. I don't know the name.
I don't know,
I can't
but it was cool.
Yeah, I thought that was shot. Like, I just like the color of that was great.
I love when they go and Valkyrie's holding a lightning bolt and it's yellow and everything else is black and white. That was really cool. I do like that they had Heimdall's son in the group of kids.
And I thought and evidently that's passed down. That's a generational gift of what he has.
Yeah, the all-seeing eyes.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting to learn because I always thought that it was powered by an Infinity Stone.
Yeah, or the Bifrost. I mean,
something. I thought it was an outside power that was giving Heimdall that sight, and it turns out it looks like it's passed down for generation. Just hope his son likes the helmet. His son likes that helmet.
Yeah. Well, there was something else I wanted to say. With Gore, I guess he does kind of pop in and out intermittently while they're doing certain things. And I did like that the way he formed the monsters was kind of a symbiote-ish looking thing where it would come out of like the shadows and be all black and all that. But I had this kind of horror vibe with him a little bit, like where he would like pop in and almost like Pennywise, and just like that he was acting a little goofy, and like the way he acted and the way he like talked to the kids and treated them like they were kids and wasn't really afraid to do what he had to do.
I think it's something about when they have the power to control shadows. I think that's a mind trick game that you're going on, because you're questioning every time there's a shadow around you. Is that just a shadow, or is that another entity, or is that somebody else? Like, I think it's just more of a mind trick on you that works. So I think it's that not knowing and not being able to see it, but knowing that something is out there, but you don't know. And I think when you use that type of quote unquote horror, I think that's when it hits a little bit harder, because I mean, there's times you probably walk outside or walk around your house and it's late at night and you think you hear something or you think you see something, and it's really just your imagination. So I think when you use that as a power, I think that's why it hits a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But you're right. It did give that, because when he was snatching the children, that was, shadows on the wall, fine. And the next thing you know, creepy hand comes up and says, hey, come here. Well, not come here. He just, get over here.
Yeah. His eyes glowing in the dark, and you can see like the white outline of his robes, and like you can see like the darkness of his face, but he's also is so pasty, and he's very creepy, which is really cool. And Doctor Strange was that whole thing we talked about being partly kind of a horror. This to me was kind of a little bit of horror in it too, just with some of like the jump scares and how scary he looked, and just like the way like he was capturing the kids. Like there are a lot of little horror shout outs in this movie.
They've definitely upped the scariness of the baddies of this phase.
Oh yeah.
For the last couple movies, I wouldn't say, is Black Widow in this phase?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay. Shang-Chi, not really.
Kang the Conqueror, not really.
Yeah, he just kind of is a there dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's that whole horror kind of thing is, and I'm okay with that. I think it's good.
I will agree with you though that I think Gore was the best villain so far in all of this.
Yeah.
Maybe not in all of Marvel. It might come close though. I might put him up there in top villains.
Oh, no way.
There's an episode idea for us. Our favorite movie villains.
Oh, that would be a good
That's
one.
a good one. Slate it. Let's go.
Done. Get it in there.
So
I I'm a fan of Valkyrie. I wish she would have got some more screen time.
Me too.
You could kind of tell that she does not like to be king of Asgard.
Yeah.
In the very beginning, like the first 5 minutes of her like on the screen, she just does not want to do it, doesn't like it. She'd rather be out sharpening her blades, riding her horse.
Yep.
You could just see that. And I just want her to be, I just want more story for her, from her, I should say.
Well, you go from her being a drunk bounty hunter to the Valkyrie to King of Asgard, and it's like she went from being a bounty hunter to a politician, pretty much.
Yeah. And she's like, yeah, this is good. I'm doing this because I have to. And
I want to know whose idea was to turn New Asgard into a theme park.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, when you've got the two, I mean, to them, maybe that's not a theme park. Maybe they just call that Wednesday. I don't know.
Yeah. It looked like a theme park.
Well, especially the party, I'd call it a party boat they took across.
It's got the bar on it.
The bar.
Stormbreaker hanging out.
I think there's like a party time neon sign somewhere.
Yeah. I think pretty sure there was. Oh,
so yeah.
I did say that there weren't very many cameos in this movie, but who did make it in this movie, Colton? Portraying Loki.
Oh my gosh. I think the best thing about that is that they had lines outside of just the actual play they did.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's fantastic. I think everybody laughed I know me, you, and Bree were laughing.
Oh yeah.
During that whole time.
And
it was great. The guy who plays Thor in that play, he's actually on the Old Spice commercials right now.
Oh, is he really?
Yes.
Who is that? Because I don't know who that actor is. It is Matt Damon. Matt Damon is Loki, correct?
Matt Damon is Loki, correct.
And then Pierce Brosnan?
I think it was Pierce Brosnan. I'd have to look. Yeah. I encourage everyone to watch the video. I'm sure there's a video out there talking about.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Melissa McCartney was.
Oh my gosh! Yes, I forgot about that. That was hilarious. Unexpected.
I lost it. Completely out of left field. I think that's what made that one better.
Yeah. So she like popped in. I'm like, oh dude, that's funny.
I thought it was great that they allowed them to still do like the show, even though Loki like got them to do these shows.
Yeah.
And Valkyrie's like, yeah, you can do it.
Yeah. And, what are they're walking through after everything is starting to happen.
And
we should script this. We should write a play for this.
So the kids, it's the next morning, the kids are gone and everybody's at like the town hall. And Matt Damon and the other guy are just like talking. I think it's Valkyrie's ear off about, what should we do now? Like, what's next? And she just pretty much tells him to get lost. And he's like, we should be writing this all down. This could be our script right here. Yeah. Everybody gather around. And they just go off it. It was great. I loved it. Yeah. That was great. I hope they come back in every Thor.
Me too.
Marvel needs a Stan Lee-esque cameo in the rest of the movies. I don't know who it's gonna be. I would love it. I honestly think it would be kind of cool if they got like Chris Evans to come in.
Oh, dude, that would.
And just kind of like sit in the background, and like what if he's one of the new Watchers?
Dude, what if the whole time after he went back to Peggy, he still managed to time travel, and he could go to like each time period where these movies are happening, and it's just him. Yeah, that would
I think that would be awesome if they could do something like that. But like I said, you can't replace Stan Lee.
No,
but
not at all.
I do miss looking out for
Yeah.
a cameo like that.
Or at least still do a Stanley cameo, but do it like they did in what movie was that where they had the painting of him up on the wall?
I believe that was Captain Marvel.
Yeah. So do something like that. I mean that would still be cool. You're still looking for it, but nothing beats the Stanley cameos. Nothing does.
Yeah.
And I've watched video compilations of all of them, in
Mm-hmm.
order of how they happened. And I have a package for Tony Stank.
Tony Stank. Yeah, this is him.
This is him.
This
Tony
is
Stank.
him, Mr. Stank.
Yeah.
Yeah. That scene was hysterical. Like,
Yeah. I loved it.
yeah, I agree. You want to get into the God scene?
Yeah, I do actually, because that was a really cool.
And honestly, I think the main reason why I would want to rewatch this movie like time and time again would be to analyze this whole scene.
You're talking at the God's place. I don't remember what they called it.
I want to call it the Pantheon for some reason, but I know it's not
yeah,
it. But yeah,
no.
but it's just a place where all the gods gathered.
Yeah.
First
off, Korg says that's where we're going. Well, there's a god that is also a rock person like me, and as they go into it, you literally see that rock god like sitting there, and he's like, Korg like freaks out, like there he is, which was kind of funny to see that. The dumpling.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's just like an anime,
like
all animated
anime. Yeah, it was funny.
It was cracked me up. Do you have something in particular that for this scene that you wanted to talk about?
I mean, we could talk about, the real elephant in the room in that whole thing.
Russell Crowe.
Fat Russell Crowe. Get it right.
You got fat Thor and fat Russell Crowe.
Oh my. Come on, Russell. What are you doing?
When I think of Zeus,
I do not think of fat Russell Crowe.
Big, buff, lightning bolts, white hair, just big old buff Zeus. I think of Hercules Zeus. I do. I think of the animated, the cartoon Hercules, big old Zeus, just
about them gains.
The god of gods, pretty much.
The god of gains.
The god of gains. Yes. No. That was I don't want to say Russell Crowe was a terrible casting idea for Zeus.
I agree.
I think they did a terrible job writing his character. 100%. Worst part of the movie, Zeus was.
Talk about... It's almost like Ticonderoga Wakiti just has a hatred for Russell. And he's like, hey, I need you to be in this movie. You're going to be Zeus. Like, that's the only thing he tells him at the pitch. And he's like, dude, I think I would make a great Zeus. Filming day comes. All right, need you to pack on 40 pounds, not just in his face, but every other part of his body. Done.
Yep. Wear a skirt.
And then I need you to whirl this thunderbolt like a baton, but only look like an idiot while you do it.
Talking Can you do that? Talking the worst accent and wear a skirt.
Yeah, you're right. It kind of was. As much as I don't like Jane, that part... it was rough.
Yeah. I did not enjoy that character one bit.
Could have been so much better.
It was weird because you thought that first god that you saw that Gore killed, which I don't know what god it was. The guy was just an ass.
Yeah.
And then you meet Zeus and he is just an ass. And it's like, well, they're almost making it seem like all gods in this MCU are just douchebags.
A-holes, except for Thor.
Yeah. And possibly his dad. His dad really wasn't either, but
yeah, Odin wasn't the greatest.
He wasn't.
Yeah, he had his faults.
he was more of a stern father character than just a big douche. So
yeah, I agree with that. I thought one of the interesting things that was said that Zeus said, Thor takes the stage because he's talking, and Zeus pretty much calls him out and says, "Hey, if you got something to say, why don't you come to the floor and say it?" So Thor comes out and says, "Hey, there's this dude with this sword that smokes gods.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to gather an army and we need to go after this dude because if not, he's coming here." And Zeus just kind of blows it off and says, he's just only been taking out like weak gods or dainty gods. I can't remember how he said it,
Yeah, I
and
don't remember his
it
exact
made me
words.
wonder a little bit about, you know, believe back in those times, like however much I'll call it for lack of a better terminology right now, but whoever's god had the most clout was the most powerful god. So whoever more people believed in is who all that power went to. So
Yeah.
it's like Gore is just picking off these little third world gods, and he's staying away from the superpowers because he's trying to get to um what is that, eternity?
Oh, Valhalla.
No, not Valhalla.
Oh, I don't know.
With the Bifrost to the center of the
Oh,
earth. I thought it was
yeah.
eternity.
I think so. That sounds right.
So so that's when Zeus brings up eternity, is that if you're the first person there, you get to wish for whatever you want to
That's right.
wish.
That's right.
And everyone believed at that point in time that he was going to wish for all the gods to be killed.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they go for from there out. And I'll be honest, when I first heard that, I was like, he ain't gonna wish for that. He's gonna wish for his daughter back. Like,
Yeah.
I never thought for a second he was there to say, I want all the gods to be dead. I'm
Yeah.
like, no. You don't spend the first 10 minutes of this movie building that story with him and his daughter
To not bring it back
to
around.
not bring it back. So that, to me, that was kind of poor writing in my opinion. But I'm sure some people were not as
No,
observant.
no, yeah, you're right. Not great writing, but the way they did end it was
Wait, are we talking the movie or
the
this
movie.
scene?
The
Okay.
movie. The way they did end, since you were talking about Gore and his daughter, the way they ended it made me feel really good about this movie. I'm trying to think of the word I want to say. It satisfied me, I guess, to the point where I was
Okay.
just happy with the movie. And maybe that's why I liked it so much, because it did bring the story full circle, even though they didn't really talk about his daughter throughout the whole thing. Like that's all you wanted to see. And like you said, you knew that he wasn't going to wish to kill all the gods. He was going to wish to bring her back, because they set it up at the beginning of the story that his daughter died and how broken he was because his gods wouldn't help him.
Yeah.
And he goes to eternity, I guess. I don't remember. I think that you're right. I'm pretty sure you're right. And Thor tries to stop him, and he does end up going in, and that's all he does. He brings his daughter back, and then he dies.
So I'll say this. Okay, since we're on the last scene, this was my favorite scene for Jane.
Okay.
Okay. As much as I don't like her, I thought that this was the best thing that ever happened for her.
Okay.
As she is dying, she no longer possesses the power of Thor, and she is obviously rapidly declining. And Gore is pretty much like, why am I going to bring my daughter back when I'm not going to be here? Because he knows he's dying, because he knows that the sword has killed him essentially. And he's like, why would I bring her back into this world if I can't be a part of this world with her? And I believe he throws the line of, will she be alone or something like that. And that's when Jane says she won't be alone.
Yeah.
And that was my favorite line of maybe the movie for me.
Okay.
Maybe it's just because I'm a dad now, and I've got a different perspective of that whole scene and how hard that would have to be, but the relief to know that someone like a Thor, who obviously Gore now knows what he is about, and he actually confesses. I think he confesses at the end that he should have been worshiping him. He should have been the god he went to.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's almost like he has this peace when she comes back, knowing that she is going to be taken care of and protected. Because I think that's about the only thing you care about as a parent at that point in time is, are they going to be taken care of?
Yeah, are they gonna have a life ahead of them and not be in the dumps?
Yeah.
Which also brings us to the last scenes of the movie where Thor is taking care of Love, which it was an awesome twist to me on the name of the movie, because the whole time you're thinking it's Jane. Jane is Love and Thor is Thunder. No, it's Korg's daughter, and they call her Love. And Korg's final narration where he's like, Love and Thunder. And I was like, that is great. And I love how sassy she was. Just like, what does she say? Go to hell, demon.
Yeah.
She like shoots him with a laser.
Yeah. Hits him with that celestial power.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, at least that's my take. I believe she has the power of the Celestials.
I could see that.
I can't prove that. I don't know that. I just gut feeling.
She can wield Mjolnir, correct? Did she wield?
I thought it was Stormbreaker.
It was Stormbreaker. She can wield Stormbreaker. Now,
yeah, that's another thing that's another thing. How the heck can people just wield Stormbreaker?
Yeah, you'd think it would have to have the same, like, although Odin never spoke to it the way he spoke.
Correct. And I think that's the only thing that I'm coming up with to convince myself not to really like die on that hill.
We're not dying on the hills today.
It wasn't proclaimed by the king of Asgard that you needed to be worthy, or there's a stipulation like protect her.
Yeah, exactly. No, I thought that was a really cool ending to the movie, and I thought, like I said, it just paid off, and it was worth it, and I enjoyed it. I really did. I thought it was a good movie. I'm actually more so surprised that your hot take on it isn't negative fully through. Besides maybe your rating, Natalie Portman, and some of the humor. Obviously, we both kind of had the same thought. I love Natalie. I love Christian Bale. I give or take Thor in this movie is just it was just not the right route, I think, to take on the character at this point.
I agree. Yeah.
We've
got a lot of the same points, man, except for Jane.
Yeah. Korg. I love the whole thing at the end with the lava pit.
Oh my gosh.
Hilarious.
You want to talk about like that
random
that writing, as much as I think the writing screwed up in this movie, it's like they spent all their money on that one line at the end.
Yeah. And then I met
It was great.
And then I met Dwayne. The freaking rock with a mustache.
Yep.
I did like that payoff on that too, where he's talking about how the only way for his species race to have babies is for two. It's all men, I'm assuming. I'm
assuming so as well.
To hold hands over a pit of lava
pit.
Yeah, just dumb, but funny.
I agree.
So yeah.
Like I said, I think I'm a tougher critic than you are, because like you said, I think we both agree on a lot of the stuff that they hit on and they missed on.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not really that far off.
Yeah.
So I think I'm, like I said, and I've said it twice, I'll say it again. I think I might appreciate this movie more at the end of the phase. Yeah. But right now where it's at, I can't stand it. I mean, the only thing that hasn't been brought up? What's one thing that has not been brought up yet?
I don't know.
Where the heck is Adam?
No, oh my gosh. I've been thinking about that since the end of freaking Guardians 2.
Where is Adam? And obviously, if he's not in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and if he's not the big bad,
He
or
better be.
big bad that comes good, or good guy that goes big bad, I don't care.
I think
He
we're gonna.
better be in it.
I think we're gonna get Silver Surfer vibes out of him, like
Man,
anti-hero.
that's like the only thing. Like,
No, 100%.
I don't know. Outside of that, it's what the heck are we doing?
Yeah, maybe Guardians 3. Maybe they'll bring in Adam for that one. I hope they do. That's like you said.
Well, they
that's
got
been
to.
one of
They
those
have
things.
to. You
Yeah.
cannot.
Ease it.
Yeah. It's just like the new Star Wars trilogy with Rey at the they're in the bar with the lady. She finds Luke's lightsaber, and she's like, "Oh, I've got a crazy story of how I got that," and we never know how she got it.
Yeah. So we should just get a Star Wars series on was it
I think so. Yeah.
Maz, something like that.
Bug-eyed lady.
The other there was one last thing, the end credit scene with Hercules.
Correct.
I don't know where that's gonna go. I'm trying to think of what they can do. Yeah, I'm trying to think what they can do. I don't have a clue. I hate Zeus's character. I don't even want it to ever come back.
I wish he would have stayed dead.
Yeah. When they
because he took that bowl.
Yeah.
Ate that thing real quick.
Yeah. I don't want him to come back. I thought it was terrible. I wish they would have done Russell Crowe some more justice on that role.
So the only thing I could think of is that he is going to end up in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because he's not going to know where to look, but he's going to know that the Guardians of the Galaxy might know where to look.
Okay.
Is my thought and process, because Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is the only thing that makes sense on when you're going to see him again, because I don't know when else we're going to see him again.
Yeah. The next Thor movie.
Yeah, but how much other stuff is going to go on between now and then?
Yeah. To the point where you just forget about him as a character.
Exactly. And throwaway.
Yep.
So yeah, I agree. I would have. Plus, not how I imagine Hercules.
Yeah, no, not at all. So I am a avid Good Mythical Morning like watcher with Rhett and Link, right? So when they rate things, they have like this scale, like Rhett is good at it. Like he like can rate something without having whatever. But they made Link like all these little like dials he can turn, and like it shows his face and all that. Maybe that's what I need, because like we're over here rating this movie and you rated it as a 4.5, but our takes were so similar on it. And I rated at a 7, 7.5, somewhere in there.
Jeez.
But I think it's because
Blasphemy.
I was happy when I walked out. I wasn't upset with anything. I just thought it was dumb, and some of the characters sucked. The plot was pretty good. The story was pretty good. There were just moments of like, really? Why that? Or why is he like that? Or why is this happening? But I wasn't disappointed. I didn't go in with high expectations, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie. Like I said, it wasn't the blockbuster they needed. It wasn't the best Marvel movie out there. I wouldn't make it in my top 10, that's for sure.
No.
But it was good. That's all I got.
Yeah, like I said, I think I'm just a harsher critic, even though I'm not going to claim that I am a critic. But I hold, like, when I go in, I go in and I see movies, I'm looking for certain things, and if it misses on those things or doesn't progress the storyline, why am I taking the time? Because right now,
Yeah.
Marvel is not a one-off. You just go and, hey, let's go see the new Thor movie. Have you seen any others? No, but let's go see it. Like, you're not getting those people.
If you're watching these movies, you're invested at this point.
You're invested, and at this point in time, the return on investment in Phase 4 is not looking good.
No, we've played the slots for way too long, and we are out of pennies. That's for sure.
And I'm trying, and you need to convince me on why I need to use quarters.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They better start using some quarters.
Well, I mean, we can, I know we're thinking about doing this in a later episode, but did you finish Miss Marvel?
I've not. I've
I
not finished it.
have. I have. And boy, oh boy, fun, fun episode we're going to have with that.
All right, I'm excited. I actually maybe I'll go finish that right now.
I think you should.
Yeah,
But I think I just personally, I think some of the TV shows are starting to miss.
yeah,
And it
I
kind of,
agree.
and I don't, and I actually saw something on Facebook today, and it pretty much just called out Marvel for quantity over quality.
Yeah, no, 100%. They're
I
putting
would
out way
love,
too much.
they're doing way too much, way too fast. Let's slow it down. I would love for them to get back to just one or two movies a year.
We talked about this a while back where like it used to be that we got a movie in the spring, a movie in the fall, or
Yep.
this or winter, depending
Yep.
on
It
the
was
year.
like it was spring, summertime, or fall,
Winter.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're right. They need to get back to that. Do 2 movies a year and one show. 2 movies, one show. And I would be content. That way I'm not like, well, and it gives us more content. So Marvel, if you want to keep giving us content, we'll take it. But at the same time, you're kind of overloading us, man. It's like slow down.
It's just
But
I think they are getting to that part where they are just trying to make money, and they're not worried about the storyline anymore.
yeah.
And I could stand on my soapbox and die on the hill that Breaking Bad is the world's greatest TV show ever, because they knew when to stop.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Marvel needs to stop and they need to not do TV shows. They don't need to do, but they've got to bring them all together. You just can't do them just to do them.
Willy-nilly.
Yeah. So, I mean,
yeah,
I feel like I don't want to say they're in like the danger zone.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they keep this up, I don't know how they're going to be able to. I don't know they're going to be able to do this. They're just going to be relying on people to. Well, I've watched all the others. I might as well watch this. And you don't want that kind. You don't want that fan. Like,
no.
you want the
No.
investment of fans.
I think the flip side of that is they just have such a big world built at this point to where I don't think they could run out of stories to tell.
No.
But I think they're just kind of pulling it out of the air. And I like that they're bringing new characters. I do.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to see.
Correct.
But if you're going to bring in new characters, drop some of these other characters off. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
Some folks have got to go. Have got to.
And they did
go.
that. They did that with Endgame.
Well, yeah.
But then they brought Black Widow.
Yeah.
And then they did have the Hawkeye show. So you're bringing the same characters back and back and back. And I know we've talked about this. They're setting up a Young Avengers, and that's what they're doing. Kate Bishop. They're setting up a Young Avengers.
Yeah. That's the only thing I can quantify in my head that they're going for is Young Avengers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if we're gonna get it, but if we don't get it at this point in time, what the heck have we been doing?
What have you been setting up for us?
Exactly.
Marvel, if you're listening to the Call Guys podcast, shoot us an email on thecallguyspodcast.
Kevin, I got some words for you. You need to come on this pod and we can hash them out.
Talking to you. Yeah, Colton, that was a really good conversation. To be honest, I was kind of weary going into this. Like, is this going to be a good conversation? Or are we just gonna have completely different like way out here and argue the whole time? Great conversation. I'm good.
No, like I said, I think I will appreciate this movie more when this phase is over, and I just hope that there's something that comes from this movie that is pushed forward with the storyline.
Yeah.
Because right now the storyline is stagnant, and I don't know what it's doing. And now I'm just feeling like I'm praying that Adam from Guardians of the Galaxy 3 saves this phase.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see soon.
Yes, we will.
All right.
What you got?
I got some plugs.
Okay, what are we
Are
plugging?
you ready for some
We
plugs?
ready. Come on. We ready. We ready for plugs.
Plug it.
Come on.
Plug it. All right, everybody. I want to thank you for listening to the Call Guys podcast. You can get us wherever you get your podcasts, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts. Please go check us out on YouTube. Just search for the Call Guys podcast. We got Encanto up on the camera right now, and you can see it.
Encanto.
Yeah, go to our YouTube, like, subscribe, click the bell, get notifications when these videos are up. You can look at us and see Colton's pretty new drum kit in the background. You can find us on all your social media accounts, whether that be Facebook at facebook.com/thecallguyspod, Instagram at thecallguys, TikTok at thecallguyspodcast. Please send us your recommendations for the question of the podcast, what you want to hear in future episodes, or just send us your top 5s, top 10s, top 3 musicals, what was the last one we did? Top 3 bands.
Bands, yes.
Yeah.
I've actually had some feedback on bands.
Nice. I have too. And I do want to mention this because I did go over and I actually jammed with the Emperor and Skywalker.
Whoa!
Tonight. We just had a little jam session, which was super fun. But my dad said, I can't believe Flicker Stick wasn't in your honorable mentions. And they had just went and saw Flicker Stick on their 20-year reunion shows. So he's like, I'm so upset with you. And I love Flicker Stick. So I'm throwing Flicker Stick in my honorable mentions. Sorry, Dad, it's not my number 1 band, but they are in my honorable mentions.
Shouldn't have been influenced by the Emperor.
That's right. So yeah, send all those recommendations, top 10s, top 5s, top 3s, whatever you want to send us. Let us know how we're doing. Just, give us a shout out and say, hey, that's all we could ever ask for. You can send those emails to thecallguyspodcast@gmail.com. And also, please go check out our merch store. I am wearing my shirt. If you're watching the YouTube, I love this shirt. I wear it all the time. Colton's got his Salukian shirt on. I do. I love this shirt. It is thecallguyspodcaststore.com, where you can find all the merch we have on there. And if you want to support us, go ahead and buy a shirt or whatever else you want to buy off there. So we would appreciate it. That would be wicked cool. Also, while you are listening to the Call Guys podcast and you finish an episode and you just don't have something else you want to listen to, but you're really feeling another podcast, well, guess what? The Emperor has an umbrella of podcasts, which this umbrella just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's just insane at this point. So you can go check out all of these podcasts wherever you get your podcast, whether that be
oh, you gotta keep going.
Oh, sorry, I think it was like overpowering my voice.
Oh no, I see. That's why I was like back and I was like, I was trying to be quiet and suave, but I'm kind of curious. I'll see how that worked out.
Okay, so you'll listen back. You can check out all the podcasts under that umbrella wherever you get your podcast. The Golden Image Podcast, facebook.com/Golden Image Podcast. The Murdnerds Podcast at facebook.com/Murdnerds.
Are we doing something with them next episode?
I think we are.
Oh my.
Next episode 19, is going to be the Murdnerds Call Guys crossover episode. And Colton and I and Alicia and Ashlee and the Emperor have talked, and we have decided that this is going to be a mashup of the two podcasts. It's not going to be just us talking about movies and them talking about, or just us talking about movies, I guess, not just a Call Guys episode. It's going to be a mixture of both. The girls are going to bring a story. We're going to talk about movies. We're going to talk about TV shows, documentaries, whatever it is that we can find to talk about. There will be a question of the pod. There will be some random thing that happens, I'm sure. Like, for some reason, those things happen on the Call Guys. Random things pop up. People pop in. All this stuff happens. So, yes, look forward to that. Episode 19, the Murdnerds Call Guys crossover. It will be on both of our streaming sites. So it'll be on their Spotify and our Spotify. And that's kind of why we want to do the little crossover with the mashup instead of it just being a Call Guys episode. That way there's content on both sides. Their listeners can hear the Call Guys and our listeners can hear the Murdnerds and get a feel for what those podcasts are about. So yes, go check that out. Also go check out the United States of Paranormal podcast at facebook.com/the United States of Paranormal. And the final podcast under the umbrella is the Indiana.
Don't do
it. He's writing the Indiana Chiefs fans podcast with me, the Emperor and Chief, our good friend Phil, that is new to the Golden Mojo Entertainment family. You can find the Indiana Chiefs fans podcast at facebook.com/IN Chiefs fans pod. And yeah, go check us out. We're almost 2 episodes in and I'm enjoying it. It's super fun. I mean, it's a good conversation with some long time Chiefs fans and also me as a shorter time Chiefs fan. So yes, go check those out. Colton, do you have anything you want to add?
Love you, brother.
Yep. Love you too, man. We're going to get out of here and we want to thank you all for listening. Thanks for spending probably close to an hour and a half with us. And just want to thank you all for being here and listening. We will see you next time.